It all depends on the end result, right?
Well, there you go. And what do you know? So now the people that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, you got a little glimpse of what happens before we go live on Facebook and YouTube. And by the way, welcome to the SoundBroker Mastermind group. We are here every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Las Vegas time to talk about what's going on in our industry, what's happening in life, so that we could be here when COVID is over. And it looks to me like we are on the verge of some really, 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 really good news now that we have a new administration who one of the very first things that Joe Biden did today was sign a new COVID bill that now requires people to wear a mask in public spaces, all public buildings, in transportation, and many other things. So that was the first thing that he did, which is exciting. And today we're going to cover the inauguration, CES, NAMM, the SBA, the PPP loans, loan forgiveness, COVID vaccine, planning for the future, understanding sleep data, digital health passports, home appliances that you can't live with, and who else knows what else we're going to talk about. We're just going to wrap and we're going to talk. Just remember one thing about this show is that everything that you hear is an opinion, and whether it's true or not is up to you to figure it out. So we're going to do the best to be as upfront as possible, but everything we say, we believe is true, but it's up to you to prove it. So there you have it. Welcome everybody to the group. We got a pretty interesting group today, and I'm glad to be part of it. So how was everybody's week?
I'm alive. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yes.
Any day above ground is good, right?
That might be the name of the episode this week. I'm alive.
It's alive.
So did anybody see the inauguration?
Sure. I was up at 6 a.m. to watch them say goodbye, and then I watched the inauguration.
It was pretty amazing, actually. I think there were a lot of highlights, but to me, I thought Lady Gaga did the best version of the Star Spangled Banner I had ever heard. Did you guys catch that?
Even better than the Whitney Houston thing? Come on, really?
Well, I guess we're going to have to A/B it, but I didn't see Whitney Houston this today. Where was she?
Pat Balsell said it was pre-recorded.
No,
what was pre-recorded? What was pre-recorded?
Whitney Houston.
Oh well, that could be, but Whitney Houston was a great singer. And that version of the Star Spangled Banner is known as one of the best ever.
Absolutely.
I think her mic could have been painted better. I think it's a pretty rough job on the painting of Lady Gaga.
Now tell me, was that a Sennheiser mic? I only saw a little tiny picture of it.
Yeah, the 495 or something like that. Yeah.
Is it like a new mic?
I think she has an endorsement with Sennheiser.
Gabe is in the house. Hey, Gabe.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, all right. And she had gold in-ear monitors, I heard.
At a gold mic cable.
Gold mic cable? Wait, a wired mic?
Yeah, all performances at the inauguration are hardwired.
Oh, I thought I read somewhere that she had a wireless, but I didn't see it.
No, it looked hardwired to me too as well.
It's always been that way there.
All three.
Nice.
And Garth Brooks I thought Garth Brooks was amazing that he showed up to the inauguration wearing jeans. I thought that was pretty amazing that myself.
He is who he is, isn't he?
Yeah. It was like, hey, here I am. And then he was like, it was almost like he was royalty on that platform. The way he went over to everybody, shook their hands, and then, they wanted more to do with him than anybody else on the stage, including Biden.
Yeah, and then he left when he was done. The other two just walked over. I guess that's because all the procedures were over with. But he went right back out as soon as it was over.
Who else performed? Who else are you talking about? The other two?
Jennifer Lopez and Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Jennifer Lopez sing?
She sang "America is Beautiful" and "This Land Is Your Land."
Yeah.
And
wow, that
I
must
gotta
have been
say,
good.
I worked with Jennifer in '99 when she first started. She did not have a great voice. But man, she has really, with the intensity that she has put in the time, and she can sing her ass off now. She's got.
And she did.
You're sure it wasn't pre-recorded? You sure it wasn't recorded?
No, it was real, and it was really good.
That's that Gary. What's his name? Gary, the voice coach.
I don't think
Gary Katona. That's it. Gary Katona, the voice coach.
I'm not speaking on authority, but I don't think hers was live.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's funny because she started speaking in Spanish in the middle of it, so I thought that it seemed live, But what I mean, hey,
That's
when you're watching something,
there's a choreographic mute buttons happen all the time on tours.
well, it was
there
well
you go.
done.
You hear that, folks? You're learning something. Just remember what I said
This
at
is
the beginning.
secret stuff.
It's up to you to figure out if what we're telling
He
you
didn't tell you that.
It's up to you. I'll pay extra for that ticket, by the way. And now America has its first woman vice president, and she's like a hair away from a 78-year-old guy as the president of the United States. I believe he's 78 years
Or in
old.
4 years.
Say that again?
In 4 years also.
Well, we don't know.
He's got 4 years to go. Yeah, anything could happen to his health in 4 years is right.
But
Yeah.
in 4 years, he's going to be 80 something. So, she may be running.
Yeah, there was definitely a difference.
Depends on how she does.
Definitely a difference in this year's inauguration than there was 4 years ago. That's for sure. This seemed like a lot more up tempo, a lot more normal. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It's like
Well,
as I said,
that's a lot of people would say that normal is not a good thing because government as usual is. I'm not saying that, by the way. That's not my opinion. But I know friends of mine would say government as usual sucks. And so that's why they were looking forward to having somebody different.
There's only one thing that I care about that he does. And if he does that, I'll give him a pass on everything else. And that is get this COVID thing over and done with. And if he can do that, he's my man. If he doesn't, he's a goat. That's it. But I guess goat is the greatest ever. So he's not a goat. He'll be a bum. I'll tell you what, a bum. Throw that bum out. That's about it. So anyway, I got some bad news. I got my 23andMe results back, and I found out that my generic muscle composition is uncommon in power athletes. So I guess my athletic career is over. I just wanted to show that. But what a bummer. Anyway,
so speaking of 23andMe, though, let me throw out an interesting comment. So, how many of you have done the 23andMe? Everybody done that 23andMe or Ancestry.com? No, nobody's done it. Well, so one of the things that's interesting is that they send you every once in a while. Oh, here's a list of your new relatives or relatives of yours that have recently done the 23andMe test, right? So I got that list a couple months ago, and there's my girlfriend's son-in-law is on the list of my new relatives, and that was bizarre because so now we call each other cousins because we are cousins. So bizarre.
Well, there you have it. And that brings us right into CES.
It is because he's into CES.
Yeah. So David, you were looking into CES for us. What did you find out about CES?
I ignored CES this year. It was, without being there to look at and play and have one-on-ones with the manufacturers, it just didn't appeal to me this year at all. I looked at all the emails that were saying, oh, this is new and that's new. It just wasn't the same. So CES, I can't give you anything. NAMM, I did look at, but CES, no.
Well, let's mix them both.
Now, so NAMM gives you that opportunity to do a one-on-one meeting with certain people if you want to, right, David?
Maybe,
it does,
but I didn't really follow that.
Because for example, I went to Rational Acoustics thing on there, Rational Acoustics page, and it said, when do you want to schedule a meeting with Karen? I was like, oh, cool. So you can schedule a meeting with Karen. You get half-hour increments. You can schedule a meeting, and that was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, because I'm a panelist at NAMM for Signals and Noise, and so people can connect with me and try to have set up times. I'm pretty sure you can connect with anyone and set up times to meet with them as long as you've registered on the app.
It's actually not a bad thing. That's it's getting closer to being a real thing. But the whole, I know what David's saying though. Any of these conventions that we're accustomed to going to and having that face-to-face contact with the manufacturers or the representatives is, you can't replace that.
Yeah, the thing about NAMM and CES that I like the most is the swag aspect of it. And you go in, you see something, and then of course they had the Chinese booth. Remember, David and I used to go to CES all the time, and you would go and you would play things, you would play with the things, you would actually have it in your hands, you'd look at the phones, the cameras, but all of the cool tech that you have. And doing it virtually is just not the same. And especially with NAMM, if I said to you that the highlight for me to go to NAMM was not necessarily being with the manufacturers, but the show, the visual show that went on at NAMM with all of the music and all of the
All the
costumes.
babes and the loud rock music and all that shit. Yeah, you can't replace that with something on your computer screen. No way.
You know, but the reality is that it was good from the standpoint where you could have meetings and anyone could set up a meeting with anybody, but not everybody did that, so that you couldn't get together with everybody. But then, considering this was the first time that they did it, it was pretty good, except it didn't have the energy for me. And what I felt both with NAMM and with CES, it took away the urgency of now. There was no urgency of now. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, I got to do this right now, because otherwise I'm going to miss it. Whereas you would go into the show and you'd try to get there at 9 o'clock in the morning and you'd walk the floor and you say, whoa, I got to keep walking. I got to keep walking. But now you know that whatever you saw on the NAMM panel or the CES, there's going to be video online for it. So all of a sudden I said, well, I'll look at it later in my leisure. I'll look at, and then of course, I never got to look at it because I kept, procrastinating before I got to do. Did anybody have a better experience this year with NAMM or CES?
Well, NAMM's not over yet. My session's not till tomorrow.
All right, talk about your session. Let's
tell us what we can do to see you talking or hear you talking.
Yes. Well, so for those who don't know, I co-host on Signals to Noise podcast. It's on the Pro Sound Web podcast network. We've been around for about 2 years now, talking to front of house engineers, broadcast engineers, Broadway, all that type of stuff. So we just got picked up by Alan Heath as a sponsor, and so at the Alan Heath booth on Thursday at 1 o'clock, we're interviewing Joe Lamond, as well as Mike Bangs. He's George Strait's monitor engineer, and also he's a tour director at Alan Heath. So, and I also have my other podcast I do, How We Got Loud, which is History of Live Sound project, which two people here have actually been on already, Ken Newman and David Dansky.
So what's the next one coming up? So talk to me about what you're going to be doing at NAMM. How does somebody sign up to see you?
So if you just register anyone Believe in Music app from NAMM, you can download that or go to their site. And once you're on the app, you can pretty much go to anybody's booth. So go to Alan Heath's booth, you go to whatever manufacturer's booth, and that booth has a whole lineup of all their sessions. So like Alan Heath for Wednesday and Thursday have, every hour has a new session of videos and stuff. And so we happen to be the 1 o'clock time slot tomorrow afternoon. And you can actually, if you go to a session, you can hit like it'll remind you that session's live. So you could like walk through the week and have picked your schedule of like things you want to attend at the time. But like any virtual platform, it's all available post. If you miss it, it doesn't have to necessarily be there, live.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to be covering what? What are you going to be covering you're interviewing Joe Lamond this one?
Yeah. So I mean, we're just doing our typical podcast, but it just happens to be that we interview. It's technically pre-recorded. But we interviewed Joe Lamond for about 15 minutes, and then we spent some time with Mike Bangs. We spent time talking about specifically actually how, since he's monitor engineer for George Strait, we talk a lot about how he uses. He actually has a different approach to audience mics. And so we kind of dig into what that looks like and how he does it, and because they're doing stadiums in the round, so it's a much different way to kind of treat audience mics, and so we kind of dig into that a lot.
Yeah. Now, for those who don't know, I believe that Joe Lamond is the CEO of NAMM.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah. And
I should have told you that if you look into our archives, we had Joe Lamond and Michael Strickland on one show back in August. So, so are you going to be,
Chris? Are you going to be talking with Joe and as part of your podcast? Is that live or recorded?
Well, yeah, technically we pre-recorded it. It'll look live on the NAMM app. But yeah, so we've already talked to Joe and Mike Bangs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's awesome. and that was exactly what I was saying, the urgency of now. So it's pre-recorded. If I wanted to see it after NAMM, it's going to be there for posterity's sake. But I can't go there and see, I can't go and touch a Martin guitar. I can't see the new Gibson auto-tune guitar. I can't see the latest and the greatest of what's available to us. And that's what takes me out of the loop to saying that there's no more urgency of now, right?
Yeah, but
And
I don't know that you have much of a in the time that we're in. I think what they've made the best of what they could, and I think actually you quite possibly have a better chance of seeing more content than you ever could going to NAMM because it's all there in post. Whereas in the past you couldn't visit you if you spent your day in, say, Alan Heath's booth or wherever, you wouldn't be able to see all the other rooms. So in some ways you actually have potential access to a lot more content that you couldn't have if you went live.
yeah. And the other thing that I really like about going to a convention like NAMM or CES, you never know who you're going to run into that you haven't seen in a long time. And that to me is also another highlight about that.
There's
You
no
know,
way to do that on this online. There's no interaction between other attendees, is there?
You can like do like a connect, not like a friend request thing, but you can connect with someone. I've gotten messages. People have messaged me directly through the app, and you can message them, and you can set up times to like meet and stuff like that. So there is some sense of that. Like you can see what attendees have signed up for what session. So like I can see there's 100 some people registered to like watch our session, right? I could go through and I could actually message them directly. So there is, you could see some like-minded people at like-minded sessions that you could want to interact with.
yeah. Well, there's a
Cool.
lot of information. NAMM is a lobbying organization that's helping us, get things done through Congress or with Congress or about Congress, and we need it. For example, the Save Our Stages, they were very active with that. The Restart program, very active with that, and now the loan situations are all coming out because the PPP loan is here, the new SVOG, which is the Save Our Stages loan. There's the EIDL loans that are. Has anybody here applied for that? Does anybody want to talk about any of the loans that they know are available? Anybody want to get involved in that? Chat about that other than me?
I tried getting in touch with the lender that the SBA hooked me up with. Haven't heard back from that lender, so I'm kind of a little disoriented. But I was going to try the website that you told me. What's it called again? Dream something?
DreamSpring. I'll tell you about that.
Dreamspring.org. That I'll try that one and see if I can apply through them.
Okay, so what I found out about the PPP loan is this: it's if you've already got the first drawer, then you go up to a site like DreamSpring or this Fundera or any of your banks. From my understanding, right now, the major banks haven't yet opened up their PPP department, whereas these other places like DreamSpring. Now, the way I heard about DreamSpring is I've been dealing with Bank of America in regarding to getting back my money from them through the first PPP loan, which they've confiscated. I'm not going to get into here what's going on. Those who people have watched, what's happening with me. And the woman at the SBA who's been helping me, she said to me, hey, listen, go through this company. They just opened up, and that's called DreamSpring. And what they are is a nonprofit, which is really cool. They're a nonprofit that makes business loans so that people can take control of their economic destiny, is what their slogan is, transforming their communities. And so we will throw a link in the chat about this. Also, if you're entitled to it, they have a form, which is a calculator. It's you put in, they ask you how much you make, or I forgot exactly what it is that they ask you, but it's really simple questions. And basically for the PPP, if you're going with an S corporation or C corporation, what you need to do is you have to have a loss of I believe it's 25% from last year, which should make it very simple for everybody in this room to be able to qualify.
Tina just posted that in the chat.
Yeah.
Jan,
So
it's Bruce.
Yeah, what, Bruce?
I just last night, U.S. Bank, actually a couple days ago, U.S. Bank sent me an email and said they're opening up on Tuesday. So last night, my wife and I did our paperwork, and it took 10 minutes. Like the third page, it said, "Did you apply through us before and get your PPP loan through us before?" And I said yes. And they said, "Should we use the same paperwork?" And I said yes. Bam! Skipped a whole bunch of stuff. Took about 10 minutes. It's all in and on its way. So.
So that you got your first PPP loan from U.S. Bank, and then you're going to get your second one from them?
My business.
Because I didn't realize SBA opened it up to the larger banks yet. I guess they did.
Well, my first one, I applied 3 times through Chase, which was so silly because my personal and my business accounts are all there. They turned me down 3 times. My wife applied at US Bank, got it right away. We sat down that night, applied, and right in the middle, 10 minutes after we hit send, US Bank called me on the phone that night. It was like 10 o'clock at night, told me to cross my T and dot my I, and it was on its way the next morning. So US Bank has been great. So my advice to anybody looking for a bank is US Bank.
That's funny. I just got a checking account there.
Yeah,
I just got a checking account there. That's where my mortgage is. I have a bunch of credit cards there. They've been good to me too. So
give them
I
a
agree.
shot, man. They were great the first round, and it was just 10 minutes on the second round. So hopefully,
that's great.
Yeah.
So basically, if you and the thing to do is if you've got a corporation, you just pull out your 941s. It's super simple how to figure it out, and a monkey can do it. Really, a child can do it. It's they make it that simple. But here's an interesting thing. Now, I don't know if anybody in this room is using Save Our Stages, but there's I don't know if you guys know Eric Todd, BML, but I was speaking to him and I was hoping he was going to join us today. And basically what he found out that the ratio of income, like for example, on the 941, so to see how much money they will give you for PPP has to do it at 2.5%, depending on what your code is, what your NAIC code is. But for the venues, they're giving them 3.5, which is more than what they're giving us.
Not 2.5%, Jan. If I can correct you, I'm not sure. I think you mean 2.5 factor times your payroll, and
that's correct.
The venues get 3.5 times their payroll. That's what you meant, right?
That's correct. Thanks for
not
checking.
Percent, factor.
That's what I was saying, everybody. It's all opinions. You got to do your own research. That's it. But the reality is that the ratio for if you have a venue is 3.5, whereas of course you're in our sound business the way we are, it's 2.5, and that to me is not fair.
Well, the thing is, the venues also are eligible for the grants, which are simply here's some money, like they give them some money. Is that not true from the Save Our Stages thing?
Well, you can't get everything. There's only a certain amount you can get.
Well, either or.
Who here knows about that? Anybody know or want to bullshit us about what you think is going to happen? About with the money, how many loans you can get?
I thought I read that if you're a venue and you're losing money, you can get the grant from the Save Our Stages, what's that called? Bill, right? And then that'll give you just money to operate on, or you can do the PPP loan, but not both.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really 100% sure about that, but because but I'm not an accountant. But the reality is it's out there. Get Bruce.
My first run at US Bank, it was I have to pay $1,000 back, and the rest of it was all a grant. So they okayed the whole thing as a grant. So that's great. $19 a month.
How is it that you owed $1,000 though? How'd you get?
Well,
that?
we did all the figuring out, and it came to the number came to like $1,200 more than 4 months worth of salary or something like that. So they granted all of the salary, and what was left over, they lent me. So, the payments start like next year and go for 3 years, but it's only $1,000. So it's like $19 a month for the rest of my life or some bullshit like that.
Okay. How about
which at some point we'll just pay it off and be done with it. But, it was worth it because it turned into a grant. So it was great.
That is great. Now, Eric's in the room, so he could explain more. I was trying to explain it. Did you hear what I was explaining, Eric? How far off
Eric
base
needs
was
to
I?
unmute. Eric needs to unmute. Can you
Got to this
unmute,
late,
Eric?
so I missed most of it.
Okay, but I was just saying that what you pointed out about how the stages are getting 3.5 based on their revenue, and we're only getting 2.5.
Well, the stages are getting considerably more than 3.5. The stages are getting 45% of the 2019 gross.
That says a grant. Jen was talking about the PPP.
If they took in, basically, they could take in up to about $18 million. 45% of that gets them to about the cap of the program at $10 million, and it's free money. Plain and simple. There's no obligation to pay it back. There's no loan element. I'm sure that
Just a
there's an
rescue.
audit process or something like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, if they got a PPP, their PPP could be $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, but they could get 10 million, and the rest of us sit here having to make the decision now. Do you take a PPP this week or in the next few days? Do we hope that there are changes to the venue grants that would include the production community or not? So it's a rough place to be sitting in.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ken Porter or Tim, do you guys have any comments on this at all?
I don't know, I put my application in yesterday and we had the same bank from before and they just flipped it to whatever. I added 2 more documents and went on with it. As far as the stages, the interesting one of stages is that's geared at private, small stage, theaters, and not, it rules out
Live Nation and places like that, publicly traded, are definitely out of that grant.
municipalities.
Yeah. The nonprofits can get grants and loans for the Save Our Stages for the venue people. As to why the inequity, Jan, I wish I could tell you, brother, but I guess Mr. Strickland didn't do as great a job of waving our pom-poms and cheerleading for us as we'd hoped. So I don't have any way of gauging that. I can say this. I have one show on the books right now for February 12th. That will be the first show my company has done other than some supplemental PA boxes going out and coming back since March 13th of last year. I do not have 100% confidence that our gig will happen on February 12th. And if it does, there's still nothing on the calendar until April. If I went out and got the PP, which I'm not authorized to do, but if I went out and got a PPE loan for my employer, for my company, I could take people and pay them less than they're getting on unemployment to basically come to the shop and do maintenance for a little while and then sit around the shop and do nothing. Then the money will run out. I won't have a show for them to go work, and they will have to go back on unemployment again for less money than I paid them, assuming they could even get unemployment after being off of it for 90 days. So our plan right now is to not apply for the PPP money because it doesn't help our employees and it doesn't help our company.
Why does it have to be so much less than what they would get from unemployment, Tim? I'm not clear on that.
It depends on which employees and which time of, by the time I go back and scale this for, I'm a full-time guy. I will get a big chunk would have gotten a big chunk of that. But it's the amount of time that it runs for and the fact that I won't have money coming in to keep my employees on payroll after the PPP money runs out. That's the primary issue. And if I bring them back now, if these guys are making $900 a week or $800 a week or whatever it is on unemployment, some of them, I think my state's maximum is around $500, so that's about $800 a week. By the time I scale this down to what's reasonable and realistic and pay them out, it's not going to work.
But you can stretch it out for 24 weeks.
And I can stretch it out for 24 weeks.
Which just means less per week, right?
Yeah, and that would help what you discussed last week when you said, hey, I can maybe make so little from it, but then that's not really a help for my employees either. If they're only getting $150 a week out of me, and their unemployment's going to run out in 90 days anyway.
But see, if you do 24 weeks and you don't start it immediately, start it when their unemployment runs out, then you can still run the 12 weeks or whatever left at the end.
Very cool. Thank you, Ken.
The day you get it.
That's
the rule of PPP. The day you receive it, it's full on.
Well, to a point. There's questions there. We've been going through that with the SBA. And there is stuff that depends on people you have employed and when people can come back and what people that will come back and won't come back.
Yes, if they won't come back and give you a letter, then you're off the hook as far as being required to do anything with them. And those funds could convert to rent or other overhead items that are allowable. But other than that, for anybody who's available, they're supposed to come back the next day.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it'll happen, but that's what it says.
That was in the spring one. There was another what's called forgiveness, or some not forgiveness, but some whatever. There was another one that was passed back in the fall or late summer, that does change the requirements that was in the first one last spring.
Yeah, it has changed around. So like I originally got it for 12 weeks, but now they told me that I could extend it for 24, but I jumped in too soon because we needed that money. And now it's 24 weeks. So you actually have a benefit, but saying with that, hopefully right now things are going to start opening up as we get into the spring, because I was just reading here that basically New York, for example, is bringing back shows. They're projecting shows to come back towards the end of February. And then I was also reading that Fauci says that performing arts centers should start reopening in the late summer, early fall, is what he's figuring. But if the vaccine does get out there the way they're projecting, it's possible that things are going to move faster. Don't you guys think that?
What shows in February in New York, Jan?
There's a link out there. I just, basically,
Are we talking
I
like
don't
Broadway
know exactly
type
what
shows, or
basically
independent?
there's a link that Tina should probably just post it into the chat about it. But basically, no, it's an article that Cuomo says that he's going to open up some shows back in the live events in February.
Well, that means the city's going to authorize permits for those shows. They're not going to prohibit them, is actually what it means. If he wants to put up money to promote a show, God bless him, let's do it. But Broadway's not coming back. I don't think anyone's looking at an actual open date before May and probably June, simply because it's going to take 60 to 90 days to get some of these shows running again. They got to get cast and orchestra and techs back together, re-rehearse shows, bring designers back in to make sure that the integrity of the show is still there. All that's got to happen beforehand. And right now, I'm not hearing any of my friends in New York saying they're going back to work yet. Yeah. But I would expect to hear that from them. If that's the case, along about the end of February, we should be hearing people saying, yeah, I got called back to my job at name show here. I really think, though, the thing that's going to screw us is look at your calendar. Every holiday, every big excuse to go out and have a big blowout party. We have two of those coming up. We have St. Patrick's Day on March 17th, and this year Easter is on April 7th. So you're going to have community spread in March, and 2.5 weeks later, you're going to have family spread from Easter. That hopefully is the last big blow up of this, thanks to vaccination. However, if we don't get those 100 million shots and 100 million arms before, much before that time, I really think that we could well be hosed until June.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a study that Strickland sent around from this German study that basically said the risk of aerosol transmission in concert halls could almost be excluded. They find that if they space people out and they put it at 50% of the crowd, then all of a sudden it lowers the risks of infection and the possible spread of infection. So by doing that, it's always possible that we can do something. Some venues will start to happen.
And I will say, Jan, that if you read that study, one of the basic premises that it's based on is universal mask wearing in that place. And I think that it'd be naive for us to look at what's happening in big swaths of the country right now and think that universal mask wearing is going to something that magically just starts happening.
Well, it just became a federal mandate today to be wearing masks in public.
I thought it was only in federal buildings and federal this and federal that.
I don't know about you, but that's where I spend most of my time, federal buildings.
yeah. What the
will the defendant please rise?
Well, anyway, so he's just trying to set an example for the states, but the states still have the right or the control over what gets mandated in their state, don't they?
Yes, that's correct. And the other thing is, for example, in Ford County, Kansas, since I'm in Kansas, Ford County is home of Dodge City. It was one of the biggest COVID-19 hotspots because they have a huge amount of beef processing there. So you have a lot of folks, many of them immigrants from all over the world, killing and cutting up cattle so we can all go get the pretty styrofoam tray. And today, the county commission voted to rescind their mask order. And they've had, they had one of the highest per capita infection and death rates in the state for months.
And why? What was the premise on which they rescinded that order?
They're rednecks.
Hey, by the way, Tim, you sound a lot better today than usual. What'd you do?
I hit factory reset on everything and discovered that I had a routing problem in the X32, which turned out, what it turned out to be was I wasn't slamming the pre as hard, and it turned out to be a direct out driving the feed instead of a bus output, because I'm here looking at my buses just clipping, going, no, what do you mean you can't hear me?
There you go.
We fixed it.
Right. Yeah, it's much better. Much better.
Good job. Now, did the Alex show help you with that? Did office hours help you with that?
Actually, yes, it motivated me to pay attention. And the other thing was to find a loudness meter that did not require a host. And it turns out there's only a couple of them. Wow, I'm actually way hot here. I need to back up a little bit.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Well, I'm hitting -20 and the target's -24. At least from Alex's show.
Freestanding loudness meter. Where'd you get it?
Orban.
Yeah,
the Orban loudness meter, you can run it as a plug-in inside an application. It has a standalone version, and you get to pick what inputs it monitors.
And it's free, I seem to remember. No,
and it's free.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, well, shelling out for ATEM Mini Pros and stuff. I don't have time for software and money.
That's right. Exactly right. Thanks to the Alex show, I ended up buying all sorts of different software, including Waves plugins, and then I found out I needed another software, and then another software, and then next thing I know, I'm using so much software I can't even hear myself.
Yeah, where did my loop back go?
Right.
But now we've got the vaccines are going out there. So, David, you're going to get a vaccine?
Sunday.
And you're getting the Pfizer one, right?
Right.
And so also we have right now the Moderna. And what's happening in California now? Some of the Moderna's no good. Did anybody hear that? Yeah, a little batch of it.
They're recommending there's a hold on a batch of it because there have been a bunch of allergic reactions here in California. Yeah.
Looks like Alfredo got his first dose. Yeah, Alfredo? All right, very nice. On what premise? Are you a healthcare worker? Oh, he's going to show us. Go ahead, show me. He can't unmute, huh?
Oh,
it's okay. Sorry. You're really young looking, so I don't think you're over 65. Yeah, I can't hear you just yet. Oh, now still don't hear you. No, I see your mouth moving, but don't hear you.
And for those people who are listening in and not watching, it's okay. It really doesn't exist. It's okay.
It's all right. His outgoing audio is not happy. It sounds like Alfredo. Right?
So now they're saying that Johnson & Johnson is going to come here with their vaccine, and their vaccine is basically you can keep it on the shelf. They don't have the refrigerator or anything, it seems, and it's a 1-dose shot.
Whoa, when's that supposed to hit the shelves?
I don't know. Let me look at my watch.
In the words of Jerry Pornell, real soon now.
Okay, yeah. Cool now.
Yep. I think it's going to be really. I think it's. Look, without the vaccine to be protected, all of us better start looking for jobs. Other than what we're doing, because there's only right now the only thing that's really in our industry where people are making money are installs and the home aspect. Just like, for example, we had Greg come in and use Chris use an Earthworks. They'd never made a USB mic before, but because so many people are streaming and working from the home, Earthworks now is making a mic. So Shure is making mics. They never made USB mics before. But that's what's happening. So all of anything that's dealing with the home or install, they're making money. When it comes to live, we're struggling to survive. And so that, without the vaccine in everybody's arm, it's going to be a rough road to hoe for us, for sure. One other thing I'll say is that I was just reading that they're going to now introduce passports, health passports. And the WHO and IATA, IATA is the international agency, International Association for Travel Agents, like Travel Pass. And likewise, airlines are exploring the use of apps like Common Pass, ICC, AOIK, Verifly. So if the airlines are going to do it, I guarantee you the concert promoters are going to follow. And so with that,
If there's money
possibly-
to be made by doing that, they'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, because how else are we going to get out to shows? And the other question I'll throw up to the room is what's happening to the money that people have paid for with tickets through Live Nation and AEG, and that they say that's at the venue? What's happening to that money? What if the venue goes out of business? What happens to that money?
Box offices are required to be bonded. Now, whether or not people keep paying for those bonds or not, who knows? But box offices are required to be bonded.
Okay, well, there you have it.
We're also required to have the money set in an escrow too.
Well, let's hope that they do that, because it would be terrible if they didn't. So anyway, speaking of money, I just heard of a new service, and it's called Melio, MELIO payments. And it's really cool. It's designed for business. It's designed for businesses, for those people who don't take credit cards or want to pay for it in different ways. So basically, you can either set up your bank account to go into there, or your debit card, or a credit card, and you can pay anybody with either an ACH transfer or a check by using this service, and it doesn't cost anything to the person getting the money, or it doesn't cost you any money unless, of course, you use a credit card. So if you use a credit card, they charge you 2.9 instead of the merchant. So if you're taking credit cards and losing money, you can set up a Melio account and let them pay you, and then the person who pays you, ends up paying the 2.9%, and you don't. And it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move. And the customer service there is really good. I tried it the other day, and it worked really spectacular. It's and it didn't cost me anything. So that's something that I thought I would share. I'm going to try to get the woman who does it to come on, to one of the reps to come on and talk about it, because I think it seems to be a very fascinating way to pay bills and take money and get money without having to deal with credit cards and yourself in fees and bigger fees. So that's
Right.
something.
So is that an app, Jan, or is it a website?
It's a website. I don't know if they have an app. I've been using it on the website. So basically, if you want to send me money, I think it's you just go to melio.com/Janlandy and just send away. That's it. Send away. Just send away. That's it.
And
If you guys wanna
Tina's
try it,
enabling you. She put
I'll
the
be
link
gl-
in.
Yeah, if you want to try it, please just feel free to
Oh
send
yeah,
me
the link
money.
is meliopayments.com.
Yeah,
Simplest way to pay vendors and contractors.
Yep. It seems to be, it's very good, so if you don't have the cash and you need to put it on a credit card, and the vendor doesn't take credit cards, this is an opportunity there as well. So that's something, that's something else. So anyway, I thought, I have other things that I wanted to talk about, but I thought, because CES was in town, that maybe we could talk about something that everybody has in their house. Like, for example, what is your favorite appliance or gadget that you've been using right now that you'd like to say, wow, I can't believe I didn't invent this, And before we do that, I just wanted to point out something from the CES, because I saw something really cool and I wish I had it and I can't wait to get it. It's basically called a cold snap ice cream maker. So you know how the Keurig works? You put you turn it on, you put the cup in, you hit the button, then you have a cup of coffee and nothing flat. Well, this thing makes ice cream. What's that, Ken?
Nothing. Go ahead. Keep going.
And makes ice
Nothing
cream.
to see here.
You could have soft serve ice cream, you could have smoothies, or you could have frozen cocktails. I thought that was like brilliant. I wish I would have been there, because they would have been giving samples out had it not been for COVID.
It's only $1,000, Jim.
Well, hey, I'll take 2 for that.
And for a kilobuck, I'm getting one of the automatic espresso machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that was really cool. Did you guys see that 110-inch LG TV, the new OLED TV? It's like about as thin as a piece of paper, so it seems.
Where was that, Jan?
It was online. I didn't see it actually in real life. I only saw it virtually, but it looked amazing, and it was only like 35,000. So I'm going to get 2 of
jump
those.
change.
I'm going to get 2 of those too. One
As
for each
soon as
wall
B of A makes you
of
whole,
my
right?
cabin. Yes. And
Wow.
then another thing that somebody invented, which I thought was really cool, was it's called My Pet Portal. And basically, it's instead of cutting a hole in the door, it seems the whole door opens and closes for the pet, So those were some things from CES that I thought were the highlights of CES. But who's got some gadgets that they've been using that they'd like to share? Anybody?
Well, I love my Roomba. We had a whole chat about the Roomba on the comm during some corporate event that I was doing probably about a year and a half ago now, where we chatted and everybody on the comm told me about their Roombas and what model I should get and why I should do this and why I should do that. Avoid this one, get that one. I ended up spending a lot of money on a little Roomba. Does anybody else have a Roomba? Okay, then. So I'm alone.
I have a
So
Roomba.
this is the Roomba app.
I have a Bob sweep.
Yeah, those vacuum cleaners, the intelligent vacuum cleaners. I didn't think they were so intelligent because I had just bought a $1,000 shade from my door. What do they call it? You open it like that so the sun doesn't come in. And the Roomba went around the bottom of this and it was white. And now I've got a black mark that's 1 inch high all the way across that thing by the door. So I gave it to Tina.
Oh, interesting. Well, I rather love my Roomba. It's pretty smart. It knows where to go. And we live in a single-story house, so it really works well. 2-story house, not so much, but single-story house, it really knows the house. I can just say, go clean the bedroom, and it'll clean the bedroom.
So, Ken, you're saying it doesn't climb stairs real well?
Not so much, yeah.
Yeah. So, does anybody have a waffle iron?
I have a waffle iron. Do you?
No, I don't. But I hear that with there's certain things you should make right away with the waffle iron. So, what do you make with your waffle iron other than waffles?
Is there anything you're supposed to make besides waffles? Just different kinds of waffles, like put different ingredients in them.
I have a Disney princess waffle iron.
All right, that's very.
Hey now,
what is that?
Yeah. And Mr. Porter has grandchildren.
How about
So-
I bought an air fryer. That
Yeah.
is really cool. Chicken wings on an air fryer is great.
Have you done tofu on the air fryer yet?
Cook what?
Have you done tofu on your air fryer yet?
Tofu doesn't exist in my house.
Yeah,
Well,
tofu on the air fryer. That's your. I mean, you are.
Why is
really-
that, David? What do you got against tofu, David?
It's my wife. No curry, no Indian food, and no tofu.
Oh, interesting. Just a personal taste, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's all. Nothing official.
I'll
But-
agree with you on the tofu, but you gotta save some curry.
Yeah.
So on the road, I eat my curry.
So my favorite gadget in the house right now seems to be my George Foreman grill. I love that thing. It's like it's an amazing piece of apparatus. It basically is like a waffle maker. It's got, 2 pieces, both sides heat up at the same time. You put whatever you want in the middle. You push it down. Next thing you know, it's cooking from both sides at the same time. It just does it so fast, and it all comes out, basically perfect. Unless, of course, you get called away on a phone call and you forget, and then it burns. But other than that, it's good. Steve, what about you? What do you got cool? What kind of gadget do you got?
My favorite thing is a refrigerator to keep my beer cold. That and the microwave for quick food.
I think that people are getting lazy right now. Samsung now has a refrigerator. I don't know if you've seen this refrigerator that's got video monitors on the door, and it's on the outside of the door, and and cameras on the inside, so you don't have to open the door of the refrigerator to see what you have inside. And I said, "Man, that's lazy."
we almost got one of those a couple of years ago when we got a new fridge. We're like, well, should we get one that has a door so we can see in? I'm like, I think that's overrated. I don't think that's a very good feature.
And in the market, and you want to dial in and see what's in your refrigerator, that would work.
What do I need to stop at the store for on my way home?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you can
No, they do have that.
For me, it's I live alone, so I don't have, if there's something back in the corner, no one else is going to find it but me. So if anything shows me what's inside, my refrigerator, it should have a caption that says, "My science project."
Yeah, that's where I keep my money. Oh no, I don't keep money in there.
I think
cash.
it's green. It's not cash. It's leftover pastrami
Either that or
from March.
Objects are healthier than they actually are. Right.
Most green things in your fridge are bad. Some are okay, but many green things are bad.
Well, lettuce,
Broccoli,
lettuce, and cucumbers and things like that. They're supposed to be green, but things that aren't supposed to be green, they become green. Bad.
Well,
yeah.
So I guess if nobody else has anything that they want to say about their appliances, does anybody have anything else they do want to say before we say goodbye to all the good people?
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate electricity now today, having lived without it from 9 a.m. yesterday till midnight last night.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys have experienced the power outage that long in a while, but man, that was tedious. I mean, when it gets dark outside, it gets dark inside. Isn't that amazing? And when and these days you don't have anything to do because I'm not working a gig or anything. So it's like, oh, I have nothing to do except for just read a book maybe. So it was pretty different not having electricity for that many hours. And I was thankful that it came on so early. They projected it that it was going to come back on at 9 a.m., but it came back on at midnight. So that was pretty good.
Now, did you ever find out? What was that?
No solar with a battery backup system, Ken?
Yeah, we're not quite in that income bracket.
No. So now, did you find out whether they did it intentionally because it was so windy, or whether or not it was just a failure?
I'm pretty sure it was a failure based on some kind of tragic, happening, but I'm not positive because who's going to say?
You never really appreciate what you've got until it's gone. I guess I think that's the
moral of that story. That's for sure.
You never appreciate what you got till.
And I just a minute ago got a notice from Spectrum saying that our internet is, our cable service is going to be out. So if our internet goes out, oh my God, it's almost as bad.
Well, the one thing is that we all have our cell phones, and you can make your cell phone into a hotspot. And
yeah, which I did yesterday. It wasn't nearly as good as the normal internet though.
Mm-hmm. So what book did you start reading yesterday?
People magazine. Yeah. That's about my speed. Okay.
Good bathroom reading.
Exactly. Yeah. I got through a whole issue of People magazine.
What was that movie that Jeff Goldblum was in? It said we have to write it so that by the time someone takes a shit, they could read the story.
The Fly? What?
I don't remember, but it's a line from Jeff Goldberg where he played a writer for People magazine.
Oh, okay.
What it was. Anyway, I think we're going to say goodbye to everybody that's been listening. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, still give it a thumbs up. And remember to share it with all your friends and family and give it away for Christmas presents because it's free. It's just the right price. And tell everybody about it because, hey, we're here every Wednesday at 3 p.m. And what can I say? Ken, did you say we were on the air today?
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Fred in Phoenix. Did you know that somebody stole your name for their podcast?
What name is that?
We Got Loud.
Oh, that's Chris.
That's Chris
has the podcast called How We Got Loud. Yeah.
Yeah, How We Got Loud. Yeah, and I thought that was the name of your thing.
No, it's you see, that's it. This is the Mastermind
meeting roundtable. Right
this is the Mastermind Roundtable. It should be the Mastermind Square Table, but because we're all in boxes like the Hollywood squares. But anyway, that's it for us on the streaming side. So those people that are watching us on Facebook and YouTube, remember to give us a thumbs up. Also, we're on every place where you have a podcast. The audio version is there. So if you want to listen to it in your car or whenever you're doing nothing, hey, it's great. And remember always to give us the thumbs up, and we'll be around. And so remember, the last thing I'll say is let's hope today's the start of a brand new beginning. And remember, today's the first day of the rest of your life, and you make it happen. And we will see you again.
And we're going off the air.
And we'll see you next week. And there you have it. All right, let me stop this recording.